All right. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء. All right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى أهله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So today, inshallah ta'ala, we are going to, before we commence, what's today's Hijri date, everyone? Is there anyone following the Hijri date of today?
No. I can check. You could check.
It's 8th of Sha'ban. 8th of Sha'ban. That tells us that this time next month, mashallah, we are fasting Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and make us all witness Ramadan in good health, abundance, wealth, and sound, and increased iman. Ameen. So inshallah ta'ala, starting from next week, we are going to start discussing about rulings, remind ourselves of rulings and talks around Ramadan, bismillah ta'ala. So today, inshallah ta'ala, let's have a complete continuation of our fiqh session. In the last discussion, we discussed that is water a condition to purification of impurities in Islam? Is water the only means by which we can purify things? If, for example, something impure which we all know falls on your clothes or on a surface or on the place where you want to pray and so on and so forth, or on your body, is water the only means by which, the thing can be purified?
No.
Okay. What other means do we have?
Sand. Clean earth.
Okay, the basic rule is that impurities fall into two categories. Number one is the one which the Sharia has given us the specific thing to use in the purification. And the other one is the one which Sharia did not specify that, no, you have to use this. The one which Sharia specifies is that of the impurity of dog. And how do we purify the impurity of dog?
You have to wash it. Was it 3 times or 7 times with sand? 7 times.
Seven times. We wash 7 times, and the first time with sand. With soil. With soil, and the remaining with water. However, any other impurity, it is permissible for us to, take to purify any other impurity with anything that would actually take out the impurity itself. And it's not restricted to water alone. Sometimes it could be putting that thing under the sun to dry. So when the impurity dries off, then we can no longer see or smell the impurity again. Or it may be putting it under the air, putting it in the air, or leaving it for a long time, and so on and so forth. So any other impurity other than the impurity of dog, which has been specified, of which the way of purification has been specified, any other form of impurity aside from that, the ruling is that فَمَتَى زَالَتْ النَّجَاسَةُ زَالَ حُكْمُهَا. يعني تحصل الطهارة بكل ما يزيل العين النجسة. So the purification will occur with anything that will make that impurity to leave that surface. So if it is water, if it is hair, if it is anything at all. So, and we also discussed about the difference between the urine of a girl child and a baby boy and a baby girl. A baby boy and a baby girl. Who can remind us of the difference?
I don't know. For baby boy.
You only use water just once. But baby girl, you have to wash it.
Yeah.
Okay, for a baby boy who has not started taking food, who only takes milk, all right? For a baby boy whose feeding is only restricted to what? Restricted to milk.
Yeah.
When such a baby boy urinates on our body, what we do is to sprinkle water. As long as we sprinkle water, without the need to what is it called? To leak, without the need to actually use our hand to squeeze and all that. Just sprinkle the water, and as long as you sprinkle the water like that, the purification has occurred. However, for a baby girl, regardless if the baby girl started eating, she has not started eating, she's just taking milk, regardless. If a baby girl's urine on our body, urinates on our body or on the surface or on the cloth, we have to wash in all situations. Is that clear now?
Yes.
Sir.
All right, inshallah, we're going to talk about حكم الموضع المتنجس in khafi. Sometimes impurity occurs on a surface or on our clothes or on our prayer mats and so on and so forth, and we know that impurity is on this thing, but we don't know where exactly is the impurity. Are you following? So we don't know where exactly is the impurity. Does the impurity touches in our clothes? So now we want to look at the ruling of that. Can Irfan read?
حكم الموضع المتجنس إن
المتنجس.
المتنجس إن حفي لو أصابت النجاسة أحد موضعين ثم نسي أي موضع أصابته النجاسة فلا فلا أحو فلا أحوال أربعة. الأول إن تجزم الأولى أن تجزم بإصابة النجاسة للموضعين فتغسلهما جميعا. إن تجزم أنهما أصابت إحداهما بعينة فتغسله وحده. إن يغلب على ظنك إنها أصابت إحداهما فتغسله وحده. إن يكون الأحتمالان عندك سواء فتغسلهما جميعا.
Now, when we are talking of, for example, now you have on your bed sheet now, or you are ironing a cloth. You are ironing a cloth, and your lid and you spread the cloth on maybe on the table or whatever, or on the chair, the cloth which you want to wear to salah or you want to wear out, and of course you're gonna pray in the course of you going out, and your small baby boy or baby girl who has defecated in her body and yet to those feces in her body was playing around the house and went close to your clothes and touched your clothes. Perhaps maybe the baby boy or baby girl has feces in her hands and touches your clothes. And when you get to your clothes, you can't really see where the touch was, but you knew that this baby girl that has impurity in her hands has touched this clothes. All right, in this situation. So now this situation can come in any of four instances. Number one, أن تجزم بإصابة النجاسة للموضعين فتغسلهما جميعا. Now, when you come to the cloth and you can't pinpoint, you just felt that I think it's all this place. So what you do now in that case is just wash all the place where you feel that, okay, yes, this is where I can't pinpoint exactly where the impurity has touched, but I believe it has touched all of these places. So all of that place it has touched, you feel it has touched, you have to watch everything. The second instance, أن تجزم أنها أصابت أحدهما بعينه فتغسله وحده. The second instance is for you to be certain that, okay, this is even though I can't see it, but then I know it is this place. So you only have to wash that place. The third instance is that أن يغلب على ظنك أنها أصابت أحدهما فتغسله وحده. You are not sure, but you so much believe that you feel that, I think this is where I can perceive the smell. So it is most likely that this is the place the impurity has touched. So you should wash only that place where you feel it is most likely that the impurity has touched. You will know the importance of this when you are running out of water, and that's the only cloth you want to wear. Do you understand me now?
Yes.
So the fourth instance is أن يكون الاحتمال إن احتمالان عندك سواء. The fourth instance is that I think the girl touched this place or this place. I'm not sure of which one is which one he or she has touched. In that case, where you can pinpoint where exactly, and you don't have like 70-30 assurance that it is this place. Everything is you are just confused about everything. In that case, you should wash all of the clothes. Now, al-gha'itul kharij, we have talked about the urine of a baby. We differentiate between a baby boy that has not started eating and a baby boy that has started eating. We said when a baby boy that has not started eating, who is only depending on milk, urinate on our body, we only have to sprinkle water on it. And if a baby boy has started eating, or a baby girl generally started eating or not started eating, we have to wash thoroughly our clothes. But what about the feces? Okay, if it is not urine and it is feces, in that case, then we have to wash. So here there is no differentiation between a baby boy or a baby girl or a baby boy that started eating or not started eating. All right. So there is a difference between the urine and feces. All right. Is that clear, everyone?
Yes.
Now, ما حكم إزالة النجاسة بالتنظيف الجاف أو بالبخار؟ الجواب: متى زالت النجاسة بأي وجه كان زال حكمها، فإن الحكم إذا ثبت بعلة زال بزوالها. Now, what about if you feel that there is an impurity, maybe the impurity is in form of what is it called? In form of liquid and touches your clothes. What if you throw it in the spinner, in the spin of the washing machine, and you spin it and so that it can dry off? Would that be considered as a form of purification of that impurity? Who knows the answer to that? Hello, are you with me, everyone?
Is it feces or urine?
No. Generally, we are talking of impurity generally. If you throw it in the washing machine and on the spin and so that it can dry off, this takes us back to where we started, that an impurity which the Sharia did not specify a particular way for us to purify it, then it can be purified in any way at all, as long as that way we adopt is going to take away the impurity. So if you want to throw it in the spinner of the washing machine so that it can dry up, that's okay, as long as the impurity is going to leave. Is that clear now?
Yes.
All right. Now we want to talk about the levels of impurities. The level of impurities. Are you guys following me, please? Is there any question?
No.
Our grammar online. Can you hear us, Ma? Our microphone is not working. So we want to talk about the levels of impurity. Impurity has 3 levels. There are 3 levels to impurity. Marzu, can you read?
درجات النجاسة بناء على ما تقدم. فالنجاسة 3 درجات: الخفيفة كبول الصبي الرضيع الذي لم يأكل الطعام، المتوسطة مثل بول الآدمي وغائطه ودم الحيض والنفاس، وغالب النجاسة الغليظة وهي نجاسة الكلب وما ولغ فيه.
All right. So now this is the level of impurity. We have al-khafifa is just little, and we have impurity, and we have the it's a dense level of impurity. So the first one is al-khafifa, the first level, and that's just the minor form of impurity, and that is kabaul sabi al-radi' alladhi lam ya'kul الطعام. The minor level of impurity is that of the urine of a baby boy who have not started eating. Like we all know that, how do we purify that? We purify that just by sprinkling water on it. So that tells us that it's a minor form of impurity. So the level of that impurity is not much. And we have the intermediate form of level of impurity, and this includes the urine and feces of human being, the blood that comes, the menstrual blood, and also the postnatal blood, and every form of other impurity. So these impurities, they are like also like semen and so on and so forth, like al-wadiu, al-madhiu that we have talked about in the past. So all these forms of impurity are intermediate impurities. Al-ghalidha, the ash form of impurity, the ash level of impurity, that is that of the what? That is that of the dog. Najasatul kalb wa ma walagha fihi. So that is why the Prophet ﷺ said, when a dog puts his mouth in your container and licks it, the purification is for you to wash it 7 times, and the first time is with sand. So that tells us the level, that tells us the seriousness of the impurity here in the dog's saliva and so on and so forth. Is that clear, everyone? Anyone has a question?
No. Yes.
What's the question?
You said no.
No.
All right. Now, ذكر لبعض الطاهرات التي حصل فيها الخلاف. There are some forms of there are some pure acts, there are some pure things whereby there is a difference of opinion among the scholars. So we want to mention some of them. Number 1, لا ينجس المؤمن بالموت. So some things that scholars are in between differences of opinion, that is this thing does it remain pure, does it remain impure, and so on and so forth, and we are going to mention them. Number 1, لا ينجس المؤمن بالموت لعموم قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن المؤمن لا ينجس متفق عليه. Now, a Muslim that dies, so that the death is not so, even though we are washing a Muslim, after the death, the ghusl of the ghusl al-mayyit, but not because the death, not because the person that died has become what? Not because the death is not the reason why we are washing the person. So because a person does not become impure due to death. Because the Prophet ﷺ have said, Innal mu'mina la yanjus. A mu'min does not, a mu'min is not impure. All right? So just that a mu'min can do some things that renders their body impure. However, a mu'min himself is a pure soul, and so on and so on. So a person does not become impure because they died, a Muslim. So the the ritual bath we do for a mu'min is not because of the death itself, it's for other reasons. Another thing is anything that does not have blood. Like what? بشرط أن يكون متولدا من طاهر فإذا وقع شيء من حشرات الأرض التي, like flies and so on and so forth, وإذا some flies don't have blood, من حشرات الأرض التي لا دم لها في ماء ومات فيه فالماء طاهر كالذباب, like what is it called now? Like flies, house flies, al-aqarib, like scorpion, right? So these things don't have what is it called? They don't have blood. So once they die in the water, so the fact that we said they are not impure, so they won't render a water impure as well, because they themselves they are not impure. They themselves they are pure things. Are you following me? So if a scorpion dies, so if you don't have an issue with if your mind is not, if you don't feel what is it called, if you don't feel irritated by a scorpion dying in the water, no problem. You can use the water for ablution because the water remains pure. Is this clear? What did you say?
Yes.
What does an animal that does not have blood, as long as the animal is given birth by another animal which is regarded as pure animal. So, for example, animals that Islam has not commanded us to kill. That Islam has prohibited us from eating. Those animals are pure. But any animal that Islam prohibited from eating, that's a sign that that animal is impure. So any animal that is pure and gives birth to another animal, as long as that animal is given birth by a pure animal and it does not have blood, the animal is pure. So if it falls in the water, if fly now falls in your butterfly as well. Does butterfly has blood? So if it falls in your water and dies there, the water remains what? The water remains pure. أما إذا كان متولدا من نجاسة فهو نجس كالصراصير المراحيض and so on and so forth. What about what is it called? What is this? Cockroach. As we can see, if the animal is given birth by another animal which is impure, and it also has blood, then in that case, such an animal, if it dies in your water, then your water is going to become impure because the animal itself is considered impure. بول ما يؤكل لحمه وروثه ومنيه كالإبل والغنم والبقر والدجاج ونحوه. Now, the urine and the feces and the semen or sperm or of any animal that Allah has permitted, that Islam has permitted us to eat, are pure. The urine, has any one of you ever drunk camel urine as a medication?
No. It's actually medication.
Yes, I
So no one has ever drank camel urine as medication.
No.
Never.
Ah, you said no. Camel urine is a big medication. Okay, so it's one of the prophetic medicine, and mashallah, tabarakallah, it has a lot of you feel camel urine. What do you know? The vaccines you take, the medications you take, there are a lot of constituents they contain. Things that you will never imagine. Hmm? So, but the reason why you feel no camel urine is because you are drinking it directly. But then camel urine is something in the prophetic medicine which is a big blessing for this ummah as well, and so on and so forth. So now, any animal that is permitted to be eaten, which Allah permits the meat to be eaten, such an animal, the urine of that animal, the what is it called? The feces of that animal, the semen or sperm of that animal is pure, not impure. If they touch our body, we don't have to wash our body. If you don't have a problem with the smell, you can pray like that. If you don't have a problem with the smell, if they touch our clothes, if you don't have the problem with the smell, because camel urine smells a lot, but if you don't have a problem with the smell, you can pray with the clothes. Because why? Because those animals, any animal that Islam has permitted us to eat the meat is a pure animal. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never command us to eat something or permit us to eat something which is impure or which will pose a threat or harm to us or our health. Is everyone following me? So now, for example, camel or goat or chicken or hen or what is it called, or cow or ram, and so on and so forth. The urine, the feces, the semen of all this animal, they are pure because those animals themselves are what? They are pure. What is the evidence for this? Hadith of Anas. Is Tahmid in the class?
Yes.
Tahmid, Bismillah, read this hadith for us. والدليل
حديث رضي الله عنه أن رهطان من خلاف ورأينا قدموا على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فاجتووا المدينة أي أصابها المرض فيها فأمدهم عليه السلام بلقاء أبل وأم أن يخرجوا فيشربوا من أبوابها وألبانها متفق عليه. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه في الصحيح قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلوا في مرابض الغنم وهي لا.
All right. Now, the evidence for that is that Anas bin Malik radiyallahu anhu reported that أن رهطا من عكل وعرينا قدموا على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So a delegation from Ukal and Urayna, they came to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فاحتجوا فاحتووا المدينة أي أصابهم مرض بها. So when they came to Medina, they became very sick. They became very sick. فأمر لهم عليه الصلاة والسلام بلقاح إبل. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam recommended a vaccine for them. What is the vaccine the Prophet ﷺ recommended for them? You know, when Corona came, what did scientists did? They all went in research and started searching for vaccines. So that's not a new idea. It's something that has been in existence for donkeys of years. So the Prophet ﷺ recommended a vaccine for them. And what was the vaccine the Prophet ﷺ gave to them? So that was camel urine. Are you following me? The Prophet ﷺ recommended a camel urine for them as a vaccine. So is everyone following me, Irfan and others? Or you are doing yours?
Hey,
We listening.
you listen, you're talking to
You are listening and you are talking. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam فأمر لهم بلقاح إبل وأمرهم أن يخرجوا فيشربوا من أبوالها وألبانها. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged them to go and take the, what is it called? The urine and milk of the camel. So camel urine and camel milk. The Prophet ﷺ recommended it to them, and mashallah, tabarakallah, they drank it and Allah used it as a means of shifa. So from there, the scholars took it that the urine of animals that are permitted for us to eat are what? They are pure, as well as their feces and all that. Another hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu fi sahihayn, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلوا في مرابض الغنم. The Prophet وهي لا تخلو من البول والروث. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم permitted them to pray in the what is it called? Where they usually keep the rams. Okay, so and it is known that this place is not going to be free from the ram urine and the ram feces and all that. And the Prophet ﷺ asked them to pray there. So that tells us that the urine and the feces of these animals that has been permitted for us to eat are what? They are not impurities. They are rather pure, whereby if they touch our clothes, we can pray with those clothes without washing them. Except if you yourself personally, you know, we or is not what's your mind. Hello? Can everyone hear me clearly?
You cut out.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So you know, we said that impurity is not what our mind regards as impurity. It's not what our minds detest. So that is not how we know impurity in Islam. Impurity is what is regarded as impurity in the Quran and in the Sunnah. Is that clear now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. So now, as I was saying, so another thing is many you Adami. Many you Adami. And this we have taken it before, but it is still mentioned here because, yeah, it's something some scholars express their own differences. However, you know, their differences is being countered by a stronger evidence. So another thing which is classified under an under pure item, under pure thing is the sperm of human being. And I'm going to ask all of you to know, Irfan, what is the problem, Irfan? Yeah, Irfan. Don't tell me you are listening. Now, in the past, we talked about the sperm of human being being pure. Can anyone remember why did we say that? What is the evidence we used to prove that?
Because it was, I think it was on the Prophet ﷺ's clothes or one of his wives, and instead of washing the whole clothes, scraped it off and prayed with it.
No. Exactly. So even though if a man, if sperm comes out of a man, the man becomes impure himself, and he needs to take ghusl before he can pray or engage in ritual activities that need purification. However, the sperm itself that comes out itself is not regarded as an impurity. Why? Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam قالت عائشة كنت أفرك النبي المنية من ثوب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، أو كنت أفرك المنية من ثوب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم يذهب فيصلي فيه صلى الله عليه وسلم. Aisha radiallahu anha, which was the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told us that I used to what is it called? I used to use my hand to um to take away the effects, the dried part of the just take it away. Of course, it's still going to remain some parts, but the visible parts of the sperm that has dried off in the clothes of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I used to use my hand to take it away, and it's still going to use the same cloth to pray without us washing it or without it, totally leaving the cloth. So that tells us that the sperm itself is not an impurity, because if it is an impurity, the Prophet ﷺ would have changed the cloth or washed that part away totally. However, the fact that it's not an impurity, so the Prophet ﷺ used the same cloth to do what? To pray. So that is why we said the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, or the deen itself, the religion itself, is taken from the sunnah, the Quran and the sunnah. And the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ can be from what the Prophet ﷺ himself said with his mouth, or what he acted in the presence of the companions, or what happened in his presence and he did not against. The Prophet ﷺ did not say, no, you can't do this. But because as the scholars of usul al-fiqh used to say, as the scholars of usul al-fiqh used to say, la yajuz as-sukut inda waqt al-haja. So, and the Prophet ﷺ will never keep silent on something which is wrong Islamically without correcting the companions immediately. So for an example of that is the Prophet ﷺ on an occasion once called Bilal radiallahu anhu, Bilal ibn Rabah, and said, I heard your footstep in Jannah. What do you always do? What is the special thing you always do? And Bilal said, Ya Rasulullah, I don't do anything special. I don't know anything I do special. Only that when I there is no wudu that I would perform, except that I'm going to do what? I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray 2 rak'ah of nafila. And the Prophet ﷺ endorsed that yes, perhaps that is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has make you from the people of Jannah, that I'm hearing your footstep in Jannah. Now, if somebody today, where we don't have, now I want to connect this to the hadith we took yesterday. What was the hadith?
About innovation.
The innovation hadith?
Yeah, somebody should tell us, even if it is a rough meaning of the hadith.
Whoever brings an innovation that was not a part of what we brought, it will be rejected.
And we said we have to look at our actions from six angles. Number one, any action a person is going to do must be in conformity with the Sharia in its purpose. So the fact that the Prophet ﷺ, and we said, if a person now says, Inshallah, every time I enter my house, I'm going to be doing 2 rak'ah of nafila, and he regards that itself as something part of the Sharia. It was never part of the Sharia, but he himself brought it out, and he would even tell people that, every time you enter your house, make 2 rak'ah, and it makes it look like it is part of what the Prophet ﷺ has commanded us to do. So we said, in this situation, it's not going to be right. But if only the Prophet ﷺ was there, and the Prophet ﷺ had that, and he did not say anything, he kept silent, or the Prophet ﷺ endorsed that, then that becomes part of the sunnah. if what Bilal radiallahu anh did, or what he said, that I would not make any wudu except I am going to pray two rakah of nafila. If what Bilal did was after the death, or was during our time, or after the death of the Prophet Sallam and the death of the righteous Khalif, then that action may be considered as an innovation, because that is Bilal bringing something that never existed, something that never that was never sanctioned in the religion, in the Quran, or in the Sunnah, bringing it again, bringing it in the deen. So that is Bilal, innovating two rakah after ablution, something the Prophet Sallam never did. Are you following me, everybody? So, but the Prophet Sallam was there to sanction that. I said, yes, Bilal. So the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallam, we say, min aqwalihi, aw min af'alihi, wa min taqririhi. So the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallam is from the words of the Prophet, from the actions of the Prophet Sallam, or from the what? From the
approved of.
she said?
From what the Prophet ﷺ approved of.
Exactly, from the approvals of the Prophet ﷺ. So where have we gone is that Aisha radiallahu anha used to take away the remains of dried sperm of the Prophet ﷺ from his cloth, and while we know that the effect is still going to be on the cloth, and the Prophet ﷺ is still going out an impurity. However, what about the semen that comes before the sperm? Is that an impurity?
No.
No, it's pure.
Why is it? Have you forgotten last week or last 2 weeks or so that we talked about al-madhyu, al-maniyu, and al-wadyu? The semen is an impure substance. All right, semen is an impure substance which comes during what is this? The mani itself is not an impure substance. So now another thing is shu'urul hirra. Shu'uru al-hirra. And I want somebody to read this for us. Bismillah Tahmid. Sorry, Hanif.
Starting from Su'ru.
Here you are.
سؤر الهرة وما يكثر طوافه في
وما يكثر طوافه في البيوت.
في البيوت بشرط ألا يكون الشارع نص على نجاسته. والسؤر هو بقية الطعام والشراب. والدليل
يا حنيف. والدليل, forgotten that dal is what is it called? حرف الشمسية.
Yeah, but there's no shadda there.
والدليل.
Okay. والدليل حديث أبي قتادة رضي الله عنه.
No, good, Hanif, barakallahu fiqh. Surul Hibba. Another thing that is considered as pure, such that we wouldn't consider it as an impure item, is Surul Hirra. وهو بقية الطعام والشراب. The remainder of what a cat has eaten, maybe food or drink. For example, now you want to perform ablution, and you brought out a container, a container full of water, and a cat comes there and drinks a little and leaves. Would you pour the water away, or you retain the water for ablution? Will you pour the water away on the note that the water is no longer pure, or you will retain the water for ablution? That is what we are talking about. So the remains of cat's food or drink, it is what? It is pure, as long as that cat is an indoor cat. Are you with me? As long as the car is an indoor cat, all right, it is not a cat on the streets that eats from the waste bin and so on and so forth. Are you with me? So the Prophet ﷺ said, عن أبي قتادة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في الهرة إنها ليست بنجس. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, cat is not an impurity. إنها من الطوافين عليكم والطوافات, because it is part of those things that goes around you in the house. All right, so it is part of those things that goes around you in the house, those things that stays with you inside your house. So it is not an impure. Irfan, are you following me?
Yes.
So, and Sheikh Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah ta'ala says, كل ما يكثر الطواف على الناس مما يشق التحرز من فحكمه كالهرة لكن يستثنى من ذلك ما استثناه الشارع وهو الكلب. He says every animal that are indoors animal that lives with people, every animal that lives with people and all its life is around people and we carry it with every form of animal like that is going to take the ruling of cats. So the remains of their food and their drink is going to remain pure, except what the Sharia has given except what the Sharia has given a special or an exceptional ruling, which is dog. So even though people have dog in their house, they live with dogs. Dogs, they live and wake with dog and they eat with dog. Dogs is still going to remain dog, and the ruling the Sharia has given dog will remain the ruling the Sharia has given dog. And what is the ruling? Anytime the dog puts its mouth in your container, then the container is deemed impure until you have washed the container 7 times. The first time with soil, which means if you put a container down full of water and you want to perform ablution with the container, and the dog comes and puts its mouth in the container, would that water still be pure for ablution or not?
No,
of course not.
So the water is going to become najis. The water is no longer going to remain a pure water for you to use for ablution.
Yeah.
So another thing we want to look at types of blood. Islam divides blood into what? Into different types. So for us to know, okay, which blood is pure and which blood is impure. So which blood is that when you put your container full of water on the floor and such blood drops into the water, will the water remain pure or impure? Which of the blood should throw the water away afterwards, or which of the blood can you retain the water and use the water for ablution? Now let's look at that. Are you guys following me?
Yes.
Okay. Read here in front. أقسام الدماء.
أقسام الدماء ينقسم الدم في القسمين، دم الإنسان ودم الحيوان.
ينقسم
دم الإنسان
okay.
الحيض
ينقسم الدم والنفاس.
الحيض والنفاس
الحيض والنفاس.
الحيض والنفاس غير الحيض والنفاس، دم الحيوان مأكول له غير مأكول له، لا الدم له دم الميتة، دم الحيض والنفاس غير دم النفاس. الأولى دم الحيض والنفاس نجس باتفاق العلماء أدل على نجاسته كثيرة منها. عن أسماء رضي الله عنها قالت جاءت امرأة إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت إحدانا يصيب ثوابها من دم الحيضة كيف تصنع به؟ قال
تحته
تحته ثم تقرصه بالماء ثم تنضحه ثم تصلي فيه. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن امرأة سألت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن غسلها من المحيض فقال خذي خذي فرصة من مسك فتطهري بها. قالت كيف أتطهر؟ قال تتطهري بها. قالت كيف؟ قال سبحان الله تتطهري فاجتبتها إلي فقلت تتبعي بها أثر الدم. أخرجه البخاري.
All right. Now, we want to look at the classification of blood Islamically so that we can know which blood is pure and which blood is impure. So we can know that which blood is which of the blood is that if it's dropped in our water, we won't be able to use that water for ablution or for purification. Now, blood in the Sharia is classified into two. Into how many? Into two. We have blood of human being, damul insan, the human blood, and damul hayawan, and the animal's blood. The blood of animals and blood of human being. How many blood do we have, and what are they?
Blood of human and blood of animal.
Is Grandma with us online, ma?
I don't think so.
Okay. She's actually logged in,
Oh,
but
okay.
is she following us or not? That's what I don't know. All right. So we have the human blood and we have the animal blood. And the human blood is further classified into two. Number one, al-hayd wa nifas.
You guys have to manage it today.
Just gonna shut off the TV for like a minute.
How's that gonna start?
You just put at the bottom. Don't worry, just continue for now. Watch that. We'll leave this here so that you can plug everything in.
Well, you can do it. The laptop is gonna stay on. The TV will just shut off and we'll put it back on.
Bring it.
So the human blood and the animal blood, that is the classification the Sharia has given to blood. And the human blood is classified into two. We have the al-hayd wa nifas, the blood that comes out of menstruation or postnatal bleeding, and ghayrul haydi wa nifas, and also the normal blood, that comes maybe when a person gets injured, when a person is bleeding, which is different from menstrual bleeding or postnatal bleeding. That is the two classification of human blood. It's either the blood is coming out of menstruation or postnatal bleeding, or any other form of bleeding different from that of the menstruation or postnatal bleeding. Are you following me?
Yes.
And also, we have damul hayawan. We have the animal's blood, and the animal's blood can be looked at from four angles. It's either the animal is ma'kulul lahm. The animal is such that Allah or the Quran or the Sharia has permitted us to eat. Halal. So it is either the blood of an animal which is halal, or غير مأكول اللحم, or the animal which its meat is not halal. The animal which its meat is halal, such as camel, such as cow, such as ram, and so on, and the animal which its meat is not halal, such as what? Such as dog, such as pig, and so on and so forth. Or another form, we are going to look at this, an animal that does not have blood at all. Like what? Like some flies. And also the fourth thing we are going to look at is damul maita, the blood of al-maita, of an animal which is either which died on its own without being slaughtered. Are you following me? So we said human blood is classified into two. What is that?
Post menstruation.
Yeah. And
Menstrual blood, the menstrual and the postnatal blood, and also the second one is other forms of blood that comes out of human being, maybe due to injury, and so on and so forth. And we also said the animal blood are classified into. Why are we classifying blood? We are going to know why, inshallah, very soon. So this helps you to know when do you need to change your water when any of this blood drops into the water. Would you still use that water to perform ablution, ghusl or ablution, and so on? And we said animal blood is classified into four. Number one is what, everyone? Now, the animal which the meat is permissible for us to eat, halal animal, and also what?
Animals you can't eat.
The animal we can't eat, haram, and also what? Animals that does not have blood at all, and also what?
Animal that dies on its own.
Yeah, the blood of al-maita. Al-maita is every animal mata binafsihi. So any animal that dies without proper slaughtering Islamically, without this kind of slaughter Islam has commanded us to slaughter. Now, let's talk about each of this blood now. Damul haydi wa nifasi najasun bittifaq al-ulama. The blood of menstruation and postnatal bleeding is an impurity substance, is impure with the what is it called? As a unanimous opinion of all the scholars. That's a unanimous opinion of the scholars, and that has a strong evidence. So the impure what is it called? The menstrual blood or postnatal blood is what? Is impure generally. Are you following me?
Yes.
Another thing. So because why? And Asma'a radiyallahu anha قالت جاءت امرأة إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت إهدانا يصيب ثوبها من دم الحيضة كيف تصنع به فقال. Now, so we are going to know that. So the reason for us to know, this is why we need to know that the blood of the menstrual blood or postnatal blood is impure. What's the essence of that? For example, if a woman who has finished menstruation or postnatal bleeding and taking a bath, taking a ghusl, wants to pray, and he could not find any other clothes other than the clothes she has wore during a menstruation or postnatal bleeding, and all of those clothes, each of those clothes, she can find the stain of the menstrual blood or postnatal blood there. It means she can't use any of those clothes to pray until she has purified them or she finds any other clothes other than those clothes. You know what I'm saying now? So, okay. Farid, do you have a question?
No, distraction.
So, do you understand what I'm saying now? So, the evidence for us to say that the postnatal blood or menstruation blood is impure is the hadith of Asma radiallahu anha, she said, a woman came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and she said, you know, one of us, yusibu sawba, when she menstruates, the blood used to stain our clothes. So sometimes when any of us menstruate, the blood is going to, you know, touch our clothes, and what should she do? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tahuttuhu thumma taqrusuhu bilma thumma tandahuhu thumma tusalli fi." So each one of us, any of us, whenever we are menstruating, and you know, subhanallah, during the time of the companions, they don't have clothes like we have now. So today we might not actually know, we might not actually understand the essence of all this thing we are discussing. However, it is something they needed to know during the time of the companions and during the time of the pious predecessors. They don't have the clothes we have today. Some of the companions, they only have one cloth, only one cloth. And some of the companions have two clothes that only Eid is when they change to the second cloth. And after Eid, they keep the cloth and go back to their normal cloth. So in this situation now, would a person not know the ruling that binds if their clothes become stained by menstrual blood also? They need to know. You know, today, and also it's not as easy as that. Today, if your clothes get stained now, you can decide to go home, you know, drop it in the washing machine, pick another one. And that one stains again. You can decide to drop it, pick another one, pick another one. You can decide to change your clothes, different clothes, 10 times a day. That's the blessing Allah has done for us. It's totally different from that during the time of the companions. Life was not that rosy for them. So they need to know all of these things. And also the availability of water. When we are talking of water, if the menstrual or if so kind of blood, if so thing touches your drops into your water, should you pour it away or can you use it to perform ablution? Today you can be thinking, why do we even need to stress ourselves in the first place? No, because we have abundance of water. We might not actually know the essence of those things. Then it's not like that. Are you following me? Things were not like that during the time of the pious predecessors. May Allah be pleased with them all. So now, how many minutes to Salah? Now? 10 minutes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Let everybody go and let's conclude here, inshallah, so that we can all prepare for Salah and meet the Jama'ah and pray in the first. The reason why I'm leaving you guys 10 minutes of Salah or 15 minutes of Salah is that you can pray in the first row. All right. So we won't finish this time, and you still end up praying in the third, fourth row. Exactly, everybody. May Allah make it easy. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم. Anyone has a question before we conclude?
Oh.
All right. بارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته everyone.
وعليكم السلام.